the one and only Carl Jha. What's happening, Carl? Happy New Year, man. How you doing today? You doing all right?
I'm
Good.
doing good. Happy New Year to you.
Thanks, man. Carl Jha is host of Silk and Steel podcast focused on China and surrounding regions and their history, culture, and politics. You can follow Carl on Twitter at Carl Jha. You can follow him on his podcast at Steel Silk In and subscribe to his podcast at patreon.com, Silk and Steel. Carl, you are one of my go-tos on anything pertaining to Asia. You are easy to talk to, and you are damn knowledgeable of this subject matter and this area. And I deeply appreciate you coming on the show, man, especially first part of the year. Thank you for this. I really do. I have to start with South Korea. So Yoon Suk Yeol, the former president of South Korea, he was clearly impeached. There was an acting president who also got impeached, and another acting president who also got impeached. And now I'm being serious. I'm saying this literally. And now the cops have apparently tried to arrest him with the military preventing his arrest. Am I getting that right?
The story coming out of South Korea gets wilder and wilder as time goes by, as more details comes out. By the way, he is still the president. He has a suspension of his constitutional duty due to the impeachment. Now his formal removal from the presidency needs to be confirmed by the South Korean Supreme Court. Now, the thing is, there's a rule that the Supreme Court, in terms of confirming a president's impeachment, they need 6 out of 9 judges. They need 6 out of 9 judges agreeing to this. But what happened was recently there has been 3 vacancies due to retirement. So there are only 6 judges. And now supposedly you need to have at least 7 judges to agree to take on this case.
So they made
so they made an exception. They made an exception to take on this case. But now, if they don't fill those vacancies, those 3 vacancies, now all 6 judges have to agree unanimously that Yoon should be removed. The thing is, the presiding judge was a Yoon appointee. So this is why the opposition party is trying to pressure the acting president to fill the 3 vacancies. But the thing is, Yoon himself, he was a lawyer. He was a prosecutor before, and he participated in the impeachment of the 2 last impeachment of previous South Korean president. Yes.
What?
So he knows the legal process. He knows the process inside out. So he's trying to slow walk the legal proceeding. That's what he tried to do. And this is what his party also tried to do, because by South Korean constitution, if his removal has been confirmed by the Supreme Court, they're obligated to hold a snap election to elect the next president. But right now, given the unpopularity of Yoon's party, the opposition is guaranteed to win. So this is why they're trying to drag it out. They're going to try to drag out the proceeding as long as possible. That's what. And some of the details that's coming out from the investigation is really crazy, because initially there was a South Korean media personality, a famous podcaster. He said the plan was actually for the South Korean military special forces to dress up in North Korean uniform to kidnap the leaders of the parliament, including Yoon's own party, and then they're gonna stage a false flag attack. They're gonna while dressing as North Korean soldiers, they're gonna kill the leader of Yoon's party and then blame it on North Korea in order to trigger
are you serious?
Let me finish. In order to trigger a war with North Korea. At that time, I'm like, okay, this might just be a podcaster. He's a big mouth. He's a media personality. He's probably generating podcasts. But now we're getting confirmation. During the investigation, they find out the special forces guess what? They ordered the North Korean uniform. They had the North Korean uniforms ready to go, and the and this is tied with the planning, because they had the plan for practice for martial law back in 2023. So again, this is not a snap decision due to male loneliness of the South Korean president. They had this. That was excused by his party, by the way. They say, "Oh, he was lonely, that's why he did the South coup." Everybody knows. So bogus. This was planned long ahead. They had
had the uniforms.
They had the uniforms. They're gonna stage false flag attack against South Korean parliament, kill the leader of Yoon's own party, and blame it on North Korea. This is insane, and this is why I'm 100% sure now the U.S. is involved, because there's no way South Korea will trigger a war without informing the U.S. Because, as I say, U.S. assume operational control of the South Korean military in the case of war. So there's no way they didn't get a go-ahead and green light from the White House on this. And this also explains the complete radio silence during the 16 hours of the coup from the U.S. State Department. Not a peep. Only thing they said was, we reaffirm our ironclad commitment to South Korea, which, just say, yeah, they would have preferred Yoon, their puppy dog, to be in power. So we're going to have to see the kind of core drama to unfold, because the Yoon and his people, they're trying to drag out the legal proceedings as long as possible, so to buy themselves space and breather. So, because right now, if the election were held today, opposition will win for sure. You think a landslide. And the oppositional party leader, he's the one who live streamed himself climbing over that wall into the parliament to hold a special meeting to overturn the martial law. So he's going to be, if the election held today, he's going to be the president. So this is why Yoon is using every kind of the legal finagling that he knew to drag this process out. So this is why his party, including the acting president and the replacement acting president, they all have tried to do the same. That's why the parliament, which is now dominated by the opposition, they just keep on removing them. They're like, okay, if you're not going to fill those vacancies, those 3 vacancies on the Supreme Court, we're going to keep on. If you're not going to do your job, we're going to keep on impeaching you. And so they don't want is to have have the proceeding follow on Yoon's schedule. So Yoon is planning to have only 6 judges, and among the 6 judges, some of them are his own appointee, and maybe have they cannot reach an agreement, and then he will not be removed. But by the way, according to the South Korean popular poll right now, 75% of the people want him to be removed immediately. And the other 16%, of the people think, he should resign gracefully, allow him some time to grasp. So altogether, we're talking about over 90% of the people, 91% of people want him gone. And so, but yet he's fighting it. He's going to fight it to the end. So this is what we're seeing right now.
KJ, I have no words for that. Like, that is so mind blowing to me. Like, that is such drama, pageantry. I can't get the word out. And as you said, this is not spur of the moment. This is something that they planned to spring on the population as if it was the spur of the moment, with all of these plans in place, including false flag and killing leaders and blaming it on the North Koreans in order to provoke a war. That is mind-blowing. Like, that is mind-blowing. Like, we already have Zelensky claiming that the North Koreans are in Ukraine doing wave attacks. And now the North Koreans are supposedly going to attack, kidnap, murder South Korean leaders in order to start a war. That's astonishing, KJ. That is like
This could be all
that is
related.
hard to wrap
This
my head
could be
around.
all this could be all related because all the information about North Korea sending troops to Russia to fight Ukraine,
Hmm.
that was initially broke out by South Korean intelligence services, and then
Was it?
yes, they are the first who came up with that story. Then every Western news media just published it without questioning. And now they're taking it as gospel truth. Even today, when there's still no evidence of such thing that exists. And US is also pressuring South Korea to send weapons to Ukraine. Now, this is something
Right.
that South Korean oppositional party have been fighting for in the parliament. They're currently having the control of the parliament, so they're fighting to stop from South Korea from sending weapons to Ukraine, and this also might explain the rationale for the coup. This is more rationale for the coup. This is why crazy people like Gordon Chan, who's famous for his 2001 book, Coming Collapse of China, he's coming out and saying, oh, what happened in South Korea? They're trying to install the pro-communist faction in the government. We must stop this. I mean, this is crazy talk. Everyone can see this is a ridiculous self-coup, and you have like of course, the right-wing shell like Gordon.
But it does make sense. I mean, if you think about it, because it makes sense on two fronts.
Oh, okay.
One, Donald Trump.
I almost rush out to check my internet connection because it's normally me.
Oh, it froze. I see what's going on.
Yeah. Okay.
No,
Okay,
you make great sense on this because initially it's like, okay, why are they? This is so weird. This seems random, but you're right. It's not random. A, Donald Trump is coming into office. B, the last time Donald Trump was in office, Donald Trump was willing to make a deal with North Korea in order to bring down hostilities between the U.S., North Korea, and for that matter, the North Korean and South Korea. C, the Biden administration has been trying to Trump-proof the world. And what they consider to be Trump-proof the world is effectively installing the orthodoxy going forward. So no, we don't want any peace deal with North Korea. No, we don't want any peace deal in Syria, meaning we don't want to pull the troops out of Syria. We want to keep those troops in. Yes, we want to keep the Ukraine war going, or at the very least come up with a justification that makes it very difficult to unravel. And so if you think about it through that lens, then you say, okay, well, South Korea may not be willing to go as far as the U.S. want in regards to being hostile towards Russia or China or any of the United States enemies. The goofball that was in there prior, Yoon, was that willing and that committed, and was willing to come up with any kind of justification necessary in order to keep any kind of, let's say, hostilities between North and South, even if that means starting a war between those two parties. Like, that's astonishingly sadistic when you think about it. Think of the number of people that were going to get killed in South Korea, or for that matter, even North Korea, for what? For U.S. policy aims? What is this going to do to the politics of South Korea now that this has been outed? I mean, this has to create a context by which South Korea is looking at its relationship with America, or does it? Oh, I think you're frozen. And I think Carl is frozen. He may be having a little bit of difficulty with his internet connection. When I see him wiggling and moving, I will bring him back. There you are. Can you hear me, Carl?
Sorry, my internet is really, yeah, I hear you. My internet is really, really slow.
Oh, dude, you're perfectly
I
fine.
heard like you.
Oh, hey, perfectly
your
fine.
voice were a little bit choppy coming through. It was my internet probably.
Oh no, you're perfectly fine.
Your question.
So yeah, let me give you the question again. So now that this has been outed, meaning now that they know that the guy was literally trying to start a war using a false flag to do so, doesn't that create a context in South Korea? Meaning, is South Korea looking at their relationship with the U.S. differently because of this? I mean, for God's sake, he was literally trying to provoke a war. And if you think of the number of South Koreans he was going to get killed, the number of North Koreans he was going to get killed in provoking that war. And as you pointed out, it is a hard swallow, a hard pill for me to believe that the United States didn't know anything about it. So South Korea has to be looking at this in a certain light, considering that he wanted to start a war. Like, does this change the relationship between North and South, or for that matter, between South Korea and America? And for that matter, is South Korea looking at this in the lens that America had to know something about it and might have even been one of the factors pushing him, or at the very least allowing him to do it? Benny, what is the talk in South Korea about this, especially in relation to America?
Well, first of all, North Korean leader Kim Jong Un have appear remarkably calm and rational in his approach to the South Korean provocation. Because in our media, we always describe Kim Jong Un as this irrational, crazy leader. That's why we can't negotiate with this guy, because he's crazy, right? We even have a whole Sony movie, about this. But the thing is, he did not take the bait. The South Korean military sent drones over Pyongyang to drop propaganda leaflet. What did North Korea do? They blow up all the road leading to South Korea. So there's no way they can be blamed for anything, because they blow up all the road going to South Korea. And so this is why the South Korea, they default back to just do an auto coup, because all their effort trying to provoke North Korea have failed. Now, for South Korean special relationship with Washington, Yoon is a favorite of Washington, because he's willing to humiliating himself to sing American Pie to Biden, in front of the world's camera. Biden loves this guy. But Biden administration loves this guy, and as like you said, Biden is trying to Trump-proof the world. There's certain conflict they want to bake in, the Ukraine conflict, and also the continued escalation against China. The South Korean opposition party has shown no stomach for jumping on the anti-Russia bandwagon, or jump onto the anti-China bandwagon. They just want to have a normal relationship and to continue its trading relationship with China. And this what worries Washington, because they don't want allies, they want vassals. They want 100% pliable vassals who when the Washington says jump, the vassal must say how high. They don't want to hear anything else. And this is why I would think they would even authorize this. I mean, I'm 100% sure this is authorized by Washington. There's no way South Korean military would, on its own, try to provoke with North Korea without informing the U.S. Because this is the whole the special relationship between South Korea and U.S. So right now, U.S. is trying to wash its hands out of this. It's trusting Yoon and his party to slow walk this process, to drag this thing out. But the longer they drag out, what happened is the investigation is digging out more details about this insane plot. So we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see how this resolves itself. But so far, I have been very impressed with the South Korean people and the South Korean lawmakers for standing up for their democracy and for their constitution. We just have to stay tuned.
That's astonishing, man. That's so elaborate. Like, it's so elaborate. There's so many moving pieces. We're going to do a false flag. On top of the false flag, we're going to blame North Korea. Then we're going to start a war. Then and it's like, what? It's like, that's so much. God, man, that's astonishing. And last question before we leave this one: is South Korea blaming America at all for this? I know we are.
Well,
but what is South Korea thinking?
Well, right
now,
the media. I think right now the South Korean domestic media is focused on the core drama surrounding the president impeachment procedure right now. I think that like politics everywhere. The focus is always the domestic. So they're more focusing on fighting their own battle to remove this very unpopular president, whom 91% of the public do not want as president, but yet he stays on because he just gotta him and his party is just trying to use legal proceedings to finagle this.
If the opposition wins, because it sounds like whenever that election is going to take place, the opposition is going to win in a landslide. What do they want politically? Like what would be the differences in the governments between, let's say, an opposition-run government versus the vassal that's in there now?
Well, I mean, it's really hard for South Korea to say no to U.S. because South Korea, let's face it, is still a militarily occupied country. There's still tens of thousands of U.S. servicemen in South Korea. But what the South Korean opposition probably want is a level of independence, in pursuing South Korea's own national interest. It doesn't, it's not just be a simple, pliable puppy dog of the U.S. in East Asia, because South Korea does have its own interests, for example, to provide a prosperous life and development for its own citizens. And that means no war. That's very important. There's no war in East Asia, because whatever happens, if a war happens in Taiwan Strait, for example, that U.S. very much want to get South Korea and Japan involved, the war is going to be fought in East Asia. All the economy in East Asia will be devastated. Nobody want to see that happen. I mean, nobody except United States, because U.S. has nothing to do. We are very far, so if East Asia gets devastated, that's all part of the plan. U.S. plan has been lighting up fire all around the world, so the investment will continue to pour into U.S. and U.S. dollar, U.S. treasuries. But this is the kind of the fundamental conflict of interest. Many even vassal state of United States have with government in Washington, because at fundamental level, they still want to pursue life and happiness for their own people.